guys, welcome back to Geek Space. Today we're going to be taking a deep dive into one of Mascot Horror's most iconic characters, practically the face of the genre, Huggy Wuggy, or Experiment 1170 from Poppy Playtime. So without further ado, let's get right into it. We have a lot to discuss. Starting with Huggy's design, he is a towering, slender creature, standing at a whopping 18 feet tall. He's covered in thick blue fur, with unnaturally long and lanky limbs that end in large yellow hands and feet. While he was marketed as a friendly toy with a permanent cartoonish red grin, the reality is much more disturbing. Behind those lips is a mouth filled with dozens of jagged, needle-like teeth. But if you look really closely, he actually has a secondary jaw near the back of his throat, with teeth resembling human ones. His eyes are even dilated, making him look deranged and feral. In terms of abilities, Huggy is a biological powerhouse. He isn't just big, he's incredibly fast and agile. Back in 1992, he was recorded running half a mile in just 3 minutes during an escape attempt. His stringy arms are noteworthy for being extremely dense and strong enough to bend reinforced metal. Perhaps his most defining trait is his intelligence. Playtime co-scientists labelled him as the optimal outcome, because he both listened to instructions and was smart enough to follow complex commands.
Experiment 1170, Huggy Wuggy, remains the optimal outcome due to his sufficient intelligence paired with maximum obedience. End of log.
Personality-wise, Huggy is complex. He was originally designed to be warm and friendly, serving as the factory's literal security guard. However, when he has an objective, he's a relentless hunter. But he isn't a mindless beast. Chapter 5 proves this when we see his soft side for Casimisi. The two share a genuine bond, showing that even after years of conditioning and torture, a piece of his humanity still remained. In Chapter 1, A Tight Squeeze, Huggy is the looming threat that defines the game. He starts as a motionless statue in the lobby, until he disappears. Huggy spends the first half of the game just watching you. He's a master stalker, and the gameplay in the beginning is all about building tension, until you hit the Make a Friend room, and Huggy makes his grand entrance. Then he chases you around the room and into the vents. That vent chase set the standard for the entire franchise, showcasing his ability to contort his massive 18-foot frame into impossibly tight spaces to keep pace with the player. By the end of the chase, Huggy's bloodlust got to him, as he destroys his way out of a vent, gets hit by a box, and plummets down into the darkness. In Chapter 2, Flying a Web, Huggy himself doesn't appear at all, but mini Huggies do in a game called Whack a Wuggy, in which the player has to use their grab pack to whack the Wuggies back into the multiple holes lining the walls. In Chapter 3, Deep Sleep, Huggy returns in a psychological capacity. Under the influence of the red smoke, the player encounters Nightmare Huggy. This version is darker, with devil-like horns and splayed claw fingers. The player puts in a VHS tape, which slowly distorts an image of Huggy's face. By the end, Nightmare Huggy crawls out of the screen and chases the player.
Welcome home.
This cements that even if you yourself aren't afraid of Huggy Wuggy, the person you play as is terrified of him. In Chapter 4, Safe Haven, the mini Huggies appear again, alongside the smiling and nightmare critters. They pounce towards the player and are scared off by the flare hand. By the end of the chapter, the player descends further into the facility, until they discover a room filled with poppy flowers. They enter a metal door at the end of the room, the alarm goes off, and we see a familiar silhouette at the end of the hall. And finally, in Chapter 5, Broken Things, Huggy makes his grand return, fueled by rage and revenge. He's beat up, missing a lower arm and part of his head, but he's more aggressive than ever. He's no longer just stalking, he's actively destroying the environment, smashing through reinforced doors, and even tearing into your elevator. The first sequence ends with Huggy stealing our grab pack, our only tool, cementing his dominance. Huggy later appears in the reanimation sector, where we get to play as him through memories. Throughout said memories, the player sees the conditioning that Playtime did for the experiments. This includes brainwashing by Miss Gracie, electric shocks, and the use of red smoke to put them to sleep. Throughout the memories, Huggy gets increasingly angry from the tests. This all results in him breaching containment, destroying hallways, and killing employees. Shortly after, Huggy chases the player once more, but becomes distracted by the projections of Miss Gracie. The player must find a way to evade Huggy and create diversions, whilst attempting to unlock the door. Later on, the player heads towards the lab stations. However, Huggy punches them through a window and starts chasing them. Eventually leading to a face-to-face encounter with Kissy Missy. Once again, the two begin to bond with each other, before the prototype interrupts them both, by performing a sneak attack and impaling them both. Huggy and Kissy's fates are currently left unknown. Now, let's talk about the lore, and it gets dark. Huggy Wuggy was created in 1984 and quickly became the company's best-selling toy. But by 1990, he was converted into Experiment 1170 under the Bigger Bodies initiative. However, as of right now, we don't know the human who became Huggy. He spent his days in the lobby, pretending to be a statue, while secretly serving as the factory's primary security system. But one of the most chilling parts of his history is the 1992 escape. Huggy managed to slip out of the factory, rammed a car, and was eventually found standing still in front of a suburban house in the middle of the night. This shows a level of curiosity and independence that most toys don't usually have. Also, if Huggy was one of the orphans, then this could have been his childhood house. During the Hour of Joy in 1995, Huggy was the primary executioner in the lobby, leading to the massacre of the staff under the prototype's command. But one of the biggest lore drops comes from Chapter 5. We learn that at some point after his fall, Huggy broke away from the prototype. He wasn't a loyal follower anymore. He was a rogue element, being hunted by the prototype's hunters.
By hunters.
Shall pursue.
1170.
This leads to the tragic finale, where just as he reunites with Kissy Missy, the prototype ambushes them both. He wasn't just a villain in the end, he was a victim of the same system that created him. Huggy Wuggy's story is one of transformation, corporate trauma, and a final failed rebellion. He went from a beloved toy to a corporate spy, to a bloodthirsty executioner, and finally, a rogue survivor. But is he truly gone? In the world of Poppy Playtime, death is rarely ever the end. With his incredible resilience, and the prototype's habit of recycling parts, there is a very real chance that we haven't seen the last of Experiment 1170. Whether he returns as a friend or a reanimated nightmare, his shadow still looms over every corner of the Playtime Co. factory. In my opinion, Huggy Wuggy is a gold standard for a mascot horror character. He's gone from a corporate mascot to a bloodthirsty killer, and finally to a tragic survivor who tried to rebel against his creator. His design is iconic, his speed is terrifying, and his lore is some of the deepest in the franchise. If we were to put him on our tier list, I would have to put him right up there with the prototype in S tier. He isn't just the face of the game, he's the heart of the horror. Alright guys, we're reached the end of today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. But now, I want to know what you think. Do you like Huggy Wuggy? Where would you put him on the tier list? Let me know down below. But anyway, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye!